All right, awesome. So to start off, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and the journey that's brought you to where you are today?
Yes, sorry, my phone's just started ringing then. Oh my goodness, I would do not disturb. Sorry, it went to my cochlea. I'm so sorry about that. Did you want to restart that or are we
Wait, wait,
you're just gonna cut it? Yeah. Yeah. Um,
wait. I've got
so
one question. Do you get in your implant? Do you get notifications from your phone?
yes. So this here, my phone just rang and it went straight to this cochlea here. So when the phone rings, it actually trumps all background noise. I mean, there's sirens now that you can hear it, but if my phone was ringing and I was on a phone call, it blocks out all the noise and all I could hear was the ringtone. So I couldn't even hear you. I wouldn't be able to hear myself talking. Because I don't have any auditory input in my ears like you do. I don't have any natural hair cells. So all sounds go to this microphone here. And I don't know if you saw my video recently where I hear electrically. So um, I receive the digital information through this microphone here. And then the digital signal goes through to this coil. And then like a radio transmitter from magnet on the outside, internally, I've got a magnet on the other side. And long story short, that goes to like the it's called electrode array. So basically it doesn't replace the natural hair cells, but it's like artificial hair cells to send hearing alerts to the brain. So that's how I hear electrically. So it's like electrical pulses. It's really convoluted to explain, but that's the best I could do. But I'm full on bionic ear woman. So if I take that off, I cannot hear a single thing. Yeah,
Wow, that's interesting. How's your lip reading? Is that is that like
terrible.
is that can people actually do that, or is that like a misconception?
Yeah, I'm not your usual hard of hearing person. I do find a lot of hard of hearing people are very, very good at lip reading. Like Dylan from my swimming pool video, he's brilliant at lip reading. I used to be really good when I was younger, when my cochlear processor wasn't working that well. I did train that skill. Um, but I do read your facial cues. So I think subconsciously I am lip reading, but I am definitely reading your facial cues, and that's how I hear. There's a saying that deaf people can't hear in the dark. So they definitely need lighting and the face and the body language.
Okay, so I'll ask the first question again, and then we'll
Yeah.
properly get started. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and the journey that's brought you to where you are today?
Yeah. So it's been a bit of a roller coaster journey. I have worked various different jobs. I don't know your age. How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
How old
How
am
old are
I?
you? Yeah,
I'm 18.
18. Yeah. So when I was 19, I went overseas, on my first trip. I worked many different jobs. I used to work at Woolworths, Coles, and I always had this yearning that I was like, I want a bigger life, and I always wanted to have an exciting life. I mean, who doesn't, right? And so I've traveled the world. I've been to over 60 countries. I really wanted to do a working holiday. I wanted to do all the adventure. I did skydiving, paragliding, kite surfing, paragliding. I'm a scuba diver. I've swum with sharks and stuff like that. So I've always had quite a zest for life. And I really wanted to do a working holiday in Malta. So I ended up moving overseas, and then I ended up in New York City doing acting. So I've had quite an interesting journey, but lots of highs and lows. And after all that, I came back to Australia broke, and my parents were like, it's time for you to get a normal job, settle down, do the traditional way of what they've done, get a government job, save for your super, buy a house, have kids. And I took that literally, and it's something that has led me today where essentially my soul died in that government job. It was a really good job. It was really hard to get into federal government. Very grateful for it. but I couldn't ignore this feeling inside me that there was so much more to life. And I just feel like I couldn't really quite bridge the gap between my current life and my dream life. And it wasn't until I hit the lowest of lows a couple of years ago where I became a single mum. And it was like, I'm literally at rock bottom. I cannot, as a coping mechanism, I'm going to go crazy. I need to find a mindset tool to change my life and get me out of this mess. And what started as a coping mechanism became completely life changing. I've got goosebumps. It completely transformed my life. And now I talk about it. It's my second business that I started. But the mindset tools, sorry, long story short, the mindset tools I learned 2 years ago when my life fell apart was the domino effect leading me to the person I am today, where I run two businesses. If I hadn't have done that, I would never have started my first business.
Okay. So that's really inspiring. That's wow. That's a lot. That's a lot of traveling you've done, though. What are some of the highlights there?
Oh, yeah, I think it's the people that you meet on the way, right? Like it's the experiences you have. It's not necessarily the countries. I've had so many different experiences. Like when I first turned up to Malta, I got interviewed by a news company. It was Australia Day. Australia and Malta have a really good relationship. So there's actually more Maltese people living in Australia than Malta itself. So when I turned up on Australia Day, there was a camera crew on the street and they were like, "Who are you?" And I'm like, "I'm Cassandra. I'm from Australia. I've literally just arrived here. I don't know anyone." And I ended up on the news. And then I had all these people reaching out saying, "Welcome to our country." And then I just end up meeting all these incredible people. And I was like, for the first few weeks, I struggled to find work. And then I just was like, you know what? I'm just going to have fun. And then it was like the moment I surrendered, I got this opportunity fall into my lap, paying double the wage of what it was over there as a nanny. And so it's so hard to pinpoint one experience, but it's really the people. And um, that was close to my heart, I think, because that was a bit of a soul searching experience. It depends what age you're at, because I've done it over the last, 15 years. New York was pretty incredible. I think it was awesome to pursue my dream in acting, like learning how to act. But Europe is definitely, if you're going to go anywhere, I would definitely say Europe was my favorite.
Yeah, I am actually going to Europe in a few weeks, so I'm very excited for that.
No, that's
But wow,
awesome.
that's so. What made you want to take up acting?
I actually really, really loved reading this acting book when I was a child. Um, don't ask me how or where I got it from, but I saw this acting school in New York City, the Sanford Meisner acting school, and I used to read about it. And I think I used to tell myself this narrative that I could read people and body language and I could almost mimic them. Because I lacked the auditory hearing, my eyesight heightened. And I really used to just watch and observe these actors. And I was like, I really reckon I could do it. And just, that's using my disability to an advantage in terms of just like really watching body language on TV and stuff like that. And when I went to acting school, I absolutely loved it. It was such a cool experience. However, I didn't put my mind to it. I didn't have the mindset that I had back then. I was in my early 20s and I was very, my ego was very fragile because when I came back to Australia, they were like, "You're too fat for TV. There's no way you're going to go on the ads. You need to lose at least 5 to 10 kilos." So today I'd be able to tolerate that now and keep persisting. But back then I gave up because I was like, well, I'm not cutting out for this, but that's not the answer. You've got to keep persisting. If you really desire something, you've got to keep showing up regardless and it will reward you.
Growing up profoundly deaf, what was the biggest challenge you faced, and how did it shape you to be the person you are today?
Yeah. Um, I think it's definitely quite known in the hard of hearing community that it's the mental and invisible load. It almost feels like you're operating in a world specifically my own experience where I was raised in a hearing environment. So you are constantly trying to keep up with your peers. And, we're tribally, like we're wired to fit in, right? And as a child, I was desperate to fit in. And there was so much happening behind the scenes that people would not be aware of, like the listening fatigue, the processing fatigue, like just trying to keep up. Um, and technology wasn't as good as like it is today. But yeah, it is the mental and visible load that people don't see. But I'm at a point in my life where I'm very much at peace. It's not like poor woe is me, because I'm quite aware now that I'm at of this age. Everyone's got an invisible load. Yes, the deaf community has, a physical limitation. There are many people that are carrying something invisible. Most of us, a lot of us, that seems to be my experience. And with the hard of hearing community, I just find that, yeah, the biggest challenge, I just felt like growing up, I've come to peace with it now. I'm very comfortable in who I am. I'm very good at advocating for myself. Back then, I was so self-conscious. It actually made my life harder. I didn't speak up about it. I made things a lot harder for myself, and my perception towards it was holding me back as well, because I was letting it define me. I've had this image of myself as this weird, special, like dumb kid. And when I did the mindset work, I realized how much I was actually holding myself back. Not in a cocky way, but I've started owning myself. I know I'm not a dumb person. I'm, a good person that, I can do anything I put my mind to. And that's what I'm trying to really raise more advocacy and awareness to the deaf community. Particularly, I feel like a lot of them are actually holding themselves back with the inner chatter they have.
Now, you're a solo mum of 3 kids and you're running 2 businesses. So, how do you keep showing up when life gets overwhelming?
I've got a really good balance. I've got amazing parents. And I think, do you know what, William? This is probably not going to be the usual comment that you'd hear, but I'm living the fullest expression of myself. I'm literally living my dream life. I'm doing what I love. So it doesn't feel as hard. Like, yes, I have my hard moments. My kids drive me crazy. I'm in a very demanding season of my life where I've got 3 small boys, and it is hard. I'm not going to deny that. And there's moments where I'm so overwhelmed and I'm just like, oh my God, I can't deal with this. But I always return back to, who do I want to be? We've got one life. I'm doing this for them. I want time and financial freedom, like many of us do. And I'm going for it. And it makes it easier to deal with everything, because I generally feel fully alive every day. I'm doing what I love. I have 2 businesses on my terms. Life is really what you make it. So I'm pretty blessed. I've got really good support as well.
That's good. This might sound like a confronting question almost, but do you feel like you have everything figured out?
God, no. I think I've gotten to a point now where when it comes to the person I am today, I'm comfortable with only seeing 3 steps ahead of me, because I feel like when you are so clear on who you want to become and you're intentional about it, because we're so powerful, this work was life-changing for me, focusing on who I wanted to become. I wanted to become an entrepreneur. I didn't want to be working 9 to 5 in the government. I didn't want someone to tell me when to clock on. I don't have it all figured out, but life seems to reward you when you show up on being your fullest expression. And yeah, I know everyone's got different circumstances. I might appear lucky. I absolutely was not. I actually built myself up from rock bottom where I was so broke. I didn't have $20 to my name. I couldn't pay bills. I really have built myself up from the ground up. And I just remember this woman saying on a podcast, life does not give you what you actually want. It gives you who you're being. So basically, whoever you're rehearsing each day, and I got very clear on that. The entrepreneur in me, she shows up on camera. she speaks clearly, she reads, she does all these micro habits, and that's what shapes who you are. And life responds to that. And so I don't have it all worked out, but it seems to be shifting very fast in my life when I am doing the micro action steps, and opportunities just seems to find me. And yeah, it's not luck. It's being completely intentional about it. And when old me before, when I was, I'll say unconscious, to how powerful we were, I wasn't aware of my mindset and how much it was shaping out my life. I would never be able to do what I'm doing today. God, no. I would have retreated and been like, no, I'll stay on my job. This is safer. So I have no idea what the next 10 years ahead, but I'm just fully showing up and going with it.
That's like, I don't even know what to say. That's amazing. That's really good. And I'll just ask one last question. If
Yeah.
if every person watching this interview could take away one message from your story, what would you want it to be?
It's not woo-woo. You can absolutely create the life that you desire, that you want, no matter your circumstances. And I'm not dismissing anyone's pain or trauma. You can reinvent yourself anytime. I've hit rock bottom, lowest of lows, twice in my life, where it got dangerous, my thoughts. And you can absolutely overcome that mental hurdle and honestly create your life, the life of your dreams, like no matter your circumstances, no matter how broke you are, how much you're, obviously, this is the part where I've got to say, make sure you consult a professional mental health, GP if you're ever in a crisis mode. But if I can, you can.